Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the dark side of ambition. We're going to explore how the relentless pursuit of innovation, especially in the tech and business worlds, can spiral from a glamorous cinematic myth into this grueling, exhausting reality, and sometimes into outright deception. It's a fascinating journey, and honestly, it touches all of us, whether you're building apps in Silicon Valley or just trying to navigate the modern economy. So let's get right into it. Okay, just listen to this quote from Aaron Sorkin's movie Steve Jobs. It's delivered with such aggressive confidence, right? And it perfectly captures the intense theatrical tone of the visionary founder myth that our society absolutely loves to celebrate. It really sets the stage for a narrative where being difficult or even impossible to work with is somehow seen as a prerequisite for being brilliant. That brings us to Section 1, the Flawed Genius Myth. Let's look at a concept so deeply ingrained in our collective psyche that leading business schools literally use Hollywood movies to teach it. Just take a look at this Hollywood curriculum. Films like Steve Jobs and The Social Network actively glamorize a very specific set of traits. They show us obsession, ruthlessness, and social alienation, not as red flags or character flaws, but as the magic ingredients for massive success. I mean, when you watch Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, you're getting a masterclass in how charismatic leadership can motivate a team, though hopefully you aren't using it as a blueprint for your own moral compass. We're basically taught that to build an empire, you inevitably have to break a few things or people along the way. Because of all this, we've completely normalized the God complex. In the pursuit of, say, a perfect operating system or a billion-dollar valuation, a founder is somehow expected to possess unshakable confidence paired with aggressive insecurities. The builder of Steve Jobs' home once noted that Jobs actually sat on the floor because, quote, there was no couch good enough. And we view that level of detached perfectionism as the ultimate mark of a visionary. But what happens when that cinematic fiction crashes headfirst into the real world? Let's move to Section 2, AI's brutal grind, and see exactly what that collision looks like on the ground in San Francisco today. Talk about a vibe shift. Just a few years ago, the tech industry was famous for its plush, coddled culture. We're talking unlimited vacation, on-site massages, free lunches, and pretty much utter job security. But wow, that vibe has rapidly mutated. Today, driven by leaders demanding an extremely hardcore work ethic, we've shifted into an anxiety-driven hustle culture. The balance of power has shifted back to the top, and the magic dust of artificial intelligence has settled into an environment fueled by sheer fear. This quote really hits the nail on the head. It's from a startup employee in San Francisco's Dogpatch neighborhood, describing founders who are living and working in a two-bedroom apartment from 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. They literally only stop to grab delivery food or take a quick cigarette break. Tech workers are grinding relentlessly, giving up their social lives, pushing themselves to the absolute brink of total exhaustion. Why? Because if they take a single weekend off, they might miss a major AI breakthrough. They are terrified of falling behind and totally desperate to prove they're still relevant. And you know, their fear isn't completely unfounded. Look at this staggering number, 60%. That is the International Monetary Fund's prediction for the percentage of jobs in advanced economies that will be either eliminated or completely transformed by AI. It's being described as a tsunami hitting the labor market. The crazy part? The very people coding the future are effectively training machines to do their own jobs better and faster than they ever could. Researchers are warning us that we need to pay close attention right now. The brutal expectations, the vanishing perks, the sudden entry-level job losses we're seeing hit the tech sector, it's all just the canary in the coal mine. What's happening in Silicon Valley right now is an early indicator of the disruption, the anxiety, and the massive demand for extreme efficiency that is soon coming for the rest of the global economy. Which brings us to Section 3, the Theranos Deception. What happens when the pressure to change the world and that toxic fake-it-till-you-make-it mindset infects the highly regulated life-or-death world of medical science? Enter Theranos. Founded by Stanford dropout Elizabeth Holmes, this company promised an absolute revolution in healthcare. They claimed they could conduct hundreds of comprehensive tests from just a few drops of blood from a simple finger prick. Holmes weaponized that visionary founder myth flawlessly. She wore the iconic black turtlenecks, spoke with unshakable confidence, and used pure charisma to raise $900 million from elite investors. She pushed the company's valuation to a staggering $9 billion. It was the ultimate Silicon Valley success story, except for one massive detail. The red flags were glaring from the start. The technology simply did not work at all. And to hide that fact, Theranos cultivated a culture of extreme secrecy.
They consistently refuse to subject their technology to any scientific peer review, basically just hiding behind the excuse of trade secrets. They bypassed standard regulatory checks, and most disturbingly, they used aggressive intimidation tactics. We're talking legal threats and surveillance to silence their own employees who dared to question the accuracy of the tests.
Now, look at the people who actually legitimized this company. The board was completely stacked with powerful political and military figures. Former Secretaries of State George Shultz and Henry Kissinger, future Secretary of Defense James Mattis. It provided this incredible illusion of credibility. But there is a glaring, almost absurd omission here. Almost no one on this list had actual biotechnology, medical, or scientific expertise. They prioritized star power and political clout over the ability to actually validate the technology they were peddling. The unraveling of this fraud took years, but it proves that accountability is inevitable. It really started in 2014 when a brave whistleblower named Tyler Shultz, who, incredibly, was the grandson of board member George Shultz, reported internally that data was being faked. He was belittled, he was threatened by leadership, but the truth always finds a way out. By 2015, the Wall Street Journal published a scathing exposé. Soon after, massive partnerships crumbled, the company dissolved, and it all culminated in 2022 with Elizabeth Holmes being sentenced to over 11 years in federal prison. It absolutely proves that aggressive non-disclosure agreements cannot stop the inevitable collapse of a fundamentally flawed product. And the result of all that deception was catastrophic. A steady, meteoric rise to a $9 billion valuation based entirely on hype, secrecy, and unverified claims plummeted to absolutely zero the exact moment investigative journalism and hard facts shattered the illusion. It stands as one of the most spectacular wealth evaporations in modern corporate history. So let's wrap things up with Section 4, Lessons for Future Leaders. Because understanding these extremes is absolutely vital for anyone stepping into a leadership role today. We study these extreme cases so we don't repeat them. True, sustainable innovation requires a totally different framework than the one the movies sell us. First off, we have to demand rigorous data over charisma. Second, financial transparency, independent audits, and peer review. They are not optional, they are essential. Third, leaders have got to create environments where employees actually feel safe raising concerns rather than feeling threatened. And finally, when evaluating any enterprise, actual domain expertise must always hold more weight than celebrity star power. Ultimately, the difference between a visionary and a fraudster lies in accountability. It's about recognizing that breaking the rules when you're coding a new social media app in your dorm room is vastly, dangerously different than breaking the rules when you're dealing with people's healthcare and their life savings. Transformational leadership goes way beyond just scaling a business at all costs. It requires a rock-solid ethical foundation. So I want to leave you with this one thought. As the pressure to innovate intensifies, especially as we navigate the massive, completely uncharted disruptions of the AI era, we all have a shared responsibility. Whether you're an employee, a consumer, or a future founder, you have to ask yourself this fundamental question about the cultures we are creating and the ideas we are validating. Are we actually doing the hard, rigorous work of building the future, or are we just trapped in a cycle of faking it till we make it? Just think about that the next time you see a charismatic leader promising you the world.